What's going on, y'all? So today I want to talk about pressure. Pressure. The thing that is known to bust pipes and the thing that is also known to make diamonds. Now, the reason that I felt the need to get on here and talk about pressure is because pressure is one of the main things that create some of the most successful people in the world, and it is also one of the leading things as to being the reason why most people just give up and don't make it in life. So when I think about pressure, I think of pressure as, the weight that you have upon you from the outside world, whether that be your family, your friends, your job, yourself, that voice in your head, always feeling that need and desire to do better or to do more, the expectations from the outside world. And when you feel like you're not living up to those, or you feel like you're not doing enough, that's when the pressure arises and you begin to feel a lot of it, and then, like I said in the beginning, it can either bust pipes or create diamonds. And for some people, those pressures begin to weigh too much, and and the knees can't handle it, and they buckle. And when they buckle, they just give up, and they have all the excuses in the world as to why they couldn't get the job done. But then it also creates diamonds, like I said. For every light there's also a dark. For every dark there's a light. And sometimes when certain people get pressure upon them, they thrive under it. Like I said, it creates diamonds, people that thrive under those pressures of the outside world. And instead of running from it like the cow from the storm, they run straight into it like the buffalo does. And when they run straight into it, the faster they get out of the problem, and the faster that they are able to lift those pressures off of them. And once they lift those pressures off of them, they are freer than a flock of birds. They feel like nothing can touch them because they've already crushed that last challenge that rose upon them. They already broke through whatever the problem was that was going on in their life. So because they know this, and they know that they were strong enough to get through it, and they know that there's a lot of people that would have easily broken like glass up under that same problem, then they feel practically invincible, which is a good thing in my opinion, because some people, the moment that they are met with pressure, or the moment they are met with a problem, they can't take it. They give up immediately. As soon as that pressure begins to weigh upon them ever so slightly, they don't want it, because most people don't want to deal with the pressures of life. Most people don't want to do the hard things in life. They just want to float through life, up and down, up and down, up and down. They just want to float through life all the way to the deathbed. But then there's other people that don't want to do that. There's people that want to control it. They know this is where they want to go, but they also understand that once you get up here, this is as high as you can go. So the only thing that you could possibly do once you're up here is come right on back down. But what happens when you come down? That's what I mean by the pressure. When the pressure begins to weigh, what do? You start back up the next hill. But most people aren't strong enough to endure those kinds of things. Most people, they're fine with that first hill. They got the motivation, they got the motivation, they got the willpower. They want to get it, they want to do it, they hyped up. They want to get it done, knocked out. I could do this, and they get up there And as soon as that pressure starts to weigh, and they feel this and they start to teeter, and they feel themselves getting ready to come back down, you know what they do? Instead of controlling their way down, they just crash. They just crash right down, like an elevator with no strings to it. And it's a shame, but it's the truth. And that's a lot of people in this world, is they just cannot handle the pressures of life, and so they rather just take the easy route. You know, they rather just go on easy mode, where they just gotta, you know, go work their job, come home, you know, maybe they got a girlfriend, you know, if they're lucky enough to have a girlfriend, because a lot of women want a guy that's willing to conquer those challenges, and one that's strong enough to conquer those challenges and more. But that's just my opinion, I would assume. But there are women out there that don't mind the guy that wants to play on easy mode with them. You know, so like I said, you know, they just want to go through life like a feather, you know, and it's a gust of wind blowing through. They just pick up and life blow them all around. Just blow them to the next field, to the next field, to the next field. And they don't mind it like that. They rather it be like that, because then they don't have to actually get up off their tail and go search for the next challenge, or to go search for the next opportunity. They rather just sit and wait and be like, well, one day, you know, I know it's coming. I know it's going to be an opportunity going to present itself to me one of these days. So until that happens, I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to play 2K. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to just have sex with my girl all day. I'm going to just sit here and do absolutely fucking nothing until this opportunity that I'm thinking of decides it wants to present itself. But you know what the problem with that is? It fucking never comes. That's the problem. That opportunity that you sitting there waiting for, that you sitting there thinking, feeling like you being so patient, it's never gonna fucking come. But you still sit there with your dick in your hand and the game controller in the other. Oh, it's gonna come, it's gonna come. But until then, I'm gonna go on up to the corner store, buy me some chips and some hot chocolate, you know, and I'm gonna just drift. Meanwhile, you got guys out there like me, actually out there seeking the opportunity. We're not waiting for it to come for us. We're hunting it down. And we coming to kill it. All hands on deck. And that's, you know, like I said, it's a shame that that's how some people are. But hey, what can you do about it? And I'm sure some of y'all might have, you know, my followers, you guys probably don't feel that way, where you feel like you just a feather in the wind drifting around. You know, you're probably one of those ones that goes out and gets it. But I know that y'all probably have friends or family or somebody near you or around you or in your life that's exactly like that. You know, oh, when I get my ducks in a row, head ass. No, damn well your ducks ain't gonna never be in a row. But yet, they still sit there, just waiting, pondering, and they always like to talk about, you know, how it's gonna be when they get rich. Oh, when I get me some money, when I get me some money in my pocket, you don't even know. I'm gonna be dangerous. You know, they always gonna say some bullshit like that. But the problem is, they like to talk about the good times that ain't came yet, and yet they ain't even doing nothing to get the good times. Because they too comfortable. They content with how they life are, and they enjoy sitting and talking about how things may be, how they want things to be, but they don't want to put in the work to actually go obtain those things. And that's crazy to me. But you know, hey, you can't judge those, because you know it's easier to sit and talk about something than to actually go out there and do it. You know, it's easier to wish upon a star and not put in the work to go obtain that wish, to go make that wish come true. You know, they say faith without works is dead, right? It just flabbergasts me how so many people believe that if they just sit there and talk about it and think about it, that it's just gonna happen, or it's just gonna fall out the damn sky, or like they just gonna walk into a field and find it in some magic treasure chest somewhere. No, it ain't gonna happen. You really think God is gonna bless somebody that ain't did nothing, that ain't even putting in the slightest of effort to obtain something, but yet they want to sit around and stress about how bad their life is, but they're not doing nothing to go out there and try to make it better? You really think God is going to bless that person when there's another person that he's watching that's putting in the work, that's busting their tail day in, day out, no matter what's going on, that's actually striving to be the best they could be? You think he's not? You think he's gonna skip blessing? You think he's gonna skip blessing that person to bless you because you want to sit on the couch all day eating cookies and snacks and tortilla chips and Milky Ways, and you want to sit around and talk about how good the times are gonna be? Really, how good are your times really gonna be if that's what you're doing with your life? That's just crazy to me, man. It's just mind-boggling that some people really believe that to their soul. Like, they will believe it to their core. And you can't argue with those kinds of people, because you try to argue with those kinds of people about the way that they're doing things and the way that they're thinking how things should be done. You know, when you try to tell them, hey, you need to get up off your ass and do something. When you try to argue with those kinds of people, try to argue them out of their comfort, it's never going to work. The only thing it's going to do is make them defensive, and people like that will defend their lazy ideals. Not ideas, ideals. They will defend those ideals to the death. Because even though they know, and even though you know that you may be smarter than them, or you may be in a different position than them, and you're trying to get them to do better because you love them, they know this inherently. But when you approach it, when you bring it to their doorstep, put it in their face, they get real defensive. And they will argue with you about it to the death. You will never be right. And that kind of stuff is just crazy to me. Like, they know that they're not doing right. And yet, when you tell them that they're not doing right, they'll get real defensive. Well, you don't know. How do you know? You see what I'm saying? And then it's just a dead-end conversation. And only thing that kind of conversation is gonna lead to, as long as you keep indulging in it, it's gonna end up in the severing of ties between somebody that you probably were once very close with. Because now that you've sat here and argued with them like an idiot, now that you sit here arguing with them, you realize this person does not share the same kind of mindset, the same kind of grit that you have, that you thought they had. They don't have it. And you just wasted your breath, you wasted your wisdom, you wasted your knowledge to somebody that's not even taking it in. They just in one ear, out the other, and in the garbage can. Because they ain't trying to hear that. They're not trying to hear that they got to get up and get out their comfort zone to go do better. You know, because when they hear that, and when you do that to them, that adds a lot of pressure. That adds a lot of pressure to them. Because like I said, you bringing it to their doorstep and letting them know, bro, you fat. Bro, you being lazy. I know you could do better than this. You ain't doing right. Do it like this. You know, you say stuff to somebody that's like that, they're gonna take it offensive. And they're not offended because of what you're saying or how you're saying it. They're offended because they know that what you are saying about them is true. And you're bringing it to their face. So you're letting them know that you know. And now they're embarrassed. they're embarrassed because something that they thought only they knew about themselves, somebody else knows, and that somebody else is telling them. That somebody else is telling them about themselves, and they can't handle it. And so they'd rather argue that you're wrong and they're right and waste everybody's time. But as long as you don't do that, they will continue to have the most knowledgeable conversations with you. They will act like they know what they're talking about all day long. They will sit there and act, they will sit there in front all day long like they on that same level as you. But they not. And sometimes you might never even realize it until you have a conversation like the one I just described. That's when you'll realize that this person really don't know what they be talking about and that they just be fronting. And that's crazy. But hey, sometimes it just gotta happen. But yeah, you know, some people just can't handle pressure. Because certain people, when they get those kinds of pressures brought upon them, they crumble. They crumble and then they shut down. But if they were a strong-willed person like they think they are, if they were really strong-minded, if you are really strong-minded, strong-willed, and thick-skinned, when somebody brings something like that to your doorstep, you don't take offense to it. You take it as constructive criticism and you use it to better yourself. That's the right thing to do. Rather than take offense to somebody that's trying to make you better because they care about you. Instead of taking offense to it, you take it into account. You say, well, you know what? Maybe I have been being a little lazy lately. Maybe I am starting to get fat. Maybe I could do better than what I've been doing, and I'm just getting content right now because things are going relatively well. You know, sometimes you got to reflect on yourself. When somebody that you care about is bringing something like that to your doorstep, looking you in your face and telling you what the fuck you doing bad, what you doing wrong, what you need to correct, you should take it seriously because you already knew about this. But now somebody else is noticing, but that person noticed and they care enough about you to bring it to your attention to let you know that, hey, I see it. And if I see it, somebody else sees it. And I know you see it, but that's why I'm bringing it to you. Because there's a lot of people that'll see you being like that and they won't say nothing. I love you just how you are, sweetheart. Don't change for nobody. I don't care if you fat. I'm your mama. I still love you. Meanwhile, the ones that really care, the other ones that care about you, your homeboys, your father, your brothers, your sisters, when they bring stuff like that to your attention and you get all upset, you know, bro, you getting fat. You don't understand. I'm depressed. Ain't that a bitch? You're gonna sit there, you're gonna fire back at them because they coming to you about some shit you doing wrong. But instead of you taking it into account and taking responsibility, you're gonna try to flip and turn the script on them and make it seem like they being the problem right now. Because you don't want to have to put in the effort to correct whatever it is that you fucking up on. You see how that worked? That reverse psychology bullshit. That's crazy as hell to me, boy. You know, you start to realize, because see, I'm a truck driver, and all I got is a lot of time to just think and ponder on things and situations and possible situations and circumstances, all kind of stuff. The things that I learn, I got time to sit and think on those kinds of things. You know, I get to reflect. And the more I do, the more I realize most people is just full of shit. And most people, they want to play life on easy mode. And I don't blame them. I'm not even mad at them. I'm not mad at them. You know why I'm not mad at them? I'm not mad at them because when you actually get down in the dirt, get your hands dirty, put in that work to become a better person, that shit's hard. It ain't easy. And it ain't for everybody. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them for not wanting to play. Hell, it might be days I don't even fucking feel like playing. But I play anyways. That's the difference. I'm putting in that work anyways. And that's just what it is. But I'm not mad at them for not wanting to do it, because it's not easy. And because it's not easy, that means it ain't for everybody. It means everybody can't do it. But that's what makes it even sweeter when you get it done. It's because you know that everybody couldn't get it done. So when you get it done, it feels so much sweeter. But yeah, man, that's my spiel for today. I just wanted to get on here and talk about, you know, pressure and the different ways that pressure can impose its will on certain people, and the ones that impose their will upon pressure. When pressure weighs upon them, they crush it. And out comes a diamond. But then there's other people, when pressure weighs upon them, they crumble. They crumble and they turn into sand and washed away in the ocean with the rest of them. Simple. Ray Worldwide out.